So today on tacNtrack, we are replacing the stock suspension in this Miata that we're prepping for the track with the MeisterR ZetaCRD coilovers. These are a little bit more compliant than some of their real dedicated track-ready coilovers, but these are going to give us great handling and still maintain a good ride for what's going to be my daily driver. Now the stock setup on this is nice and compliant, it's very comfortable, and these are actually in great shape. But these right here are going to give us some adjustment. We're going to be able to adjust our height so we can tuck the wheel a little bit closer to the fender and make it sit right. You can also use that advantage for corner balancing the car, which is going to make it handle even better and make sure that you've got a perfect 50-50 weight distribution, which is what these are known for. You can adjust your spring preload, and you've got some dampening adjustment here. I think there's 32-way adjustable. And these are going to fit directly into the car. We don't have to modify anything. I've already done this side to make sure that I had all the tools necessary. So we're going to show you how to do it on the other side of the car, which still has the stock suspension in it. So we've really got only 3 bolts we need to undo under here. One's going to be a 17mm. That's going to go on the bottom of your shock. The other one's going to be a 21mm up here on the top A-arm bolt. That whole bolt's got to come out, which is a little bit fiddly. Fortunately, this car is so clean. It all came out easily on the other side. And then our other bolt is going to be a 14 right here. We're doing the sway bars today as well, so we've got to go ahead and take this off, but you will need to remove this so that you can drop this suspension down and pull this original assembly out.
And then we also have the 2 on top that we need to get out as well.
That's correct. Those are going to be 14s as well.
Yeah, and they are right here on either side. If you're doing a strut tower brace while you're at it, this would be the time.
So once you've got this top bolt out, this A-arm is free. We've already undone the bottom bolt down here and the top bolt, so then you just pull down on the assembly and it'll come right out. And these go back in just as easy as they came out, maybe easier because these are going to be shorter. Just drop it in, do your bottom bolt, and then put everything back together.
Now, one thing that we haven't talked about yet that we went ahead and did is, while we had both coilovers out on the ground, we went ahead and set the heights on the 2 to match. Is that going to be where we want the car at the final point? Probably not, but that way we at least know that both sides are starting at the same place, so we have a place to adjust from.
So now we're going to push this back up through, leave this top A-arm bolt a little bit loose because you don't want to tighten it at its lowest position and then put it under load. That's going to pinch this. It's also going to make it really hard to get this up through. But if that's loose, you should be able to just stick it up through and have a buddy put that bolt on. Alright, so the back side's even easier on doing these coilovers, or at least removing this assembly. You've got a 14mm bolt right here. You'll need a wrench on the other side of it. And then down here, 17mm is going to take off the bottom of the shock mount. And then at the top in the trunk, 2 14mm bolts. It all drop right out.
And those are right here. We've already removed all the trunk lining here, but you'll need to do that. And on the driver's side, you need to go ahead and remove this gas filler neck. And Gil, correct me if I'm wrong here, but there's 2 bolts that hold this gas filler neck to the top of the car.
I think there's 4, and I'm pretty sure they were 10mm, and then it just kind of slides right out. You got to take the cap off, of course.
Yep, and get that out of your way so you can get to the driver's side one. Now, we already have the driver's side done on this car, but you're going to need to do that.
And then we start bolting opposite of what we just done. Okay, so this plate covers up this entire fuel filler assembly. And what we did was just take the 4 bolts out here. They are 10mm. Drop it out of the way. So to put it back in, get it back down below these wires without pulling on any of them. And feed it back up through the hole. And then there's also a retaining bolt that goes right down here. that you've got to put back in that holds this assembly in place. You don't have to get this out of the way. We just found it to be easier so that you don't slice your thumb open while you're doing stuff back there trying to work your hand around all this stuff. So it's as simple as that. 1 bolt, 4 bolts here, good to go.
Those 10mm bolts are what size?
We just confirmed, as we said before, that they are in fact 8mm.
We said 10.
They are 8mm. You said 10. I've checked the film. So the MeisterRs are very comfortable. What I did, I went with a 6K and 5K spring rate. Those are soft and compliant for the road, but you can adjust them and make them pretty sturdy. For what I'm doing, they were perfect. If I was doing a track only car, I would increase those spring rates to something a little bit stronger. But for a daily driver, they were fantastic. Now it's hard to tell which component makes the biggest difference because we did a lot of them at the same time. But even though the stock suspension was in great shape, you can tell a major difference in the car, in the way it performs with those coilovers on it. And the stance was perfect. Got the front a little bit lower, dropped the back a bit, had the car realigned, and it really did sit just right, and the 35 offset wheels really tucked under that fender pretty well. It was a little bit of scrubbing, but we had to trim a few things, and then that wasn't a problem anymore. I don't have much video to show you because I totaled the car. Someone totaled it for me. So we'll try to buy that car back and be able to go over in more detail, you know, what we're going to do with the car. But for now, the Meisters are great. They just can't use them anymore. They have 4,000 miles on them at point of impact. So anyways, we'll see you next time on tacNtrack.